How do you keep somebody like that motivated? Because you know that you want to keep them around, you know you want to get as much possible, but you have to create an environment that's going to allow that individual to grow. Otherwise, they're just going to get out immediately if they're not going to see that they need to be pushed still, too.
Kind of how you got started and how we met.
Sure. We we had come to Nebraska Legal Group was my second firm that we greenfielded, meaning we just started it from scratch. We didn't buy another firm, and we thought we had a great business plan and some good people on the team. We were losing about $40,000 a month when we started. We knew that was going to happen, but it was still pretty shocking. And then what ended up happening was one of the two anchor attorneys that we had hired turned out to be a complete lunatic. And so we had to fire her. She was so odd that when I fired her, she said, "Okay, I'll think about it."
I love that story.
Interesting.
Like, what? So then Chris had been on our radar for a while, and then we started talking, and one of the most hilarious interviews I've had. I've got some things to say about that later, maybe. And so he came on the team. He actually was our number one biller out of about 32 lawyers in the first couple years. So, however, I knew that you weren't going to last. I knew it the day we hired you. And we had that discussion, and our ops director at the time said, "Who cares? Like, he'll bill like crazy for 2 or 3 years." And she was right. So, yeah, but the whole transition worked out really great for everybody.
What do you mean I wasn't going to last?
It was so obvious that you were, had big plans, and that was cool with me. So I said, he's going to do something else probably within the next couple years.
So that's interesting. How do you keep somebody like that motivated? Because you know that you want to keep them around, you know you want to get as much possible, but you have to create an environment that's going to allow that individual to grow. Otherwise, they're just going to get out immediately if they're not going to see that they need to be pushed still, too. Yeah. They need to have that inspiration, I guess, to keep going. So what kind of, I guess, how'd you motivate, but also the culture? I mean, it sounds like that was a big piece of your organization.
Well, I have a policy that I tell every high-level person that I hire, I'm never going to quash your entrepreneurial spirit. And so sometimes we can align with them, and then sometimes we just can't. And so Chris will tell you that, if what you need to do doesn't align with me and you have big plans, that's perfectly fine with me, as long as we can work together to transition out of it. So an example that I have is, we hired a very talented marketing director in Denver. And I knew this guy was going to get tired of just promote, even though it's a big job. We have 75 employees with US Legal Groups. I knew he wanted to do something more than that. So we would have these alignment meetings. And what he really wanted to do was run his own marketing agency. And so we started analyzing what that looked like. And, we were spending probably $100,000 in third-party marketing services. Even though we had a marketing director, it made sense that we formed our own marketing agency. So out of that conversation, we spawned a new business. He's a 50-50 partner. And that's really what I cultivate in my employees. And sometimes you just can't. Like with Chris, we knew that it was probably never going to align. And I'll talk about that later, about when we made that decision and how that was a really collaborative thing that we did that was great for both of us. And so that's how we do it.
Awesome.